Welcome back. You're watching Uongozi Today, and we continue pace with the conversation. Remember, today, midnight, if you've not tanked up, you should be, of course, making sure you do that. And there will be lining of cars trying to get the last drop of the cheapest petrol today. That is bound to change by midnight. And you can see that is what the editor cartoon there is talking about, or maybe showcasing, not really talking, but you are being pressed at the pump. This is pain at the pump. And this is EPRA, Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, who will be pronouncing, of course, changes of prices taking effect midnight. This is following the passage of the finance bill, which is now enacted, that 16% VAT will be slapped on petroleum products. And that is the reality on the ground. So Kenyans will be feeling the pain, as you can see, being pressed there by the pump. And this is also what Victor Dulo has drawn today, right? 16% VAT. Who is being pressed there as well is Kenyan on the petrol, or that is the particular petrol machine. I don't know how they call it. And you can see the president is holding the pump. The government car is running away. We have also Raila Odinga, who's on the ground there. I don't know if you can decipher that cartoon and what it really says about the... Not Chidi Atangi, but it's just really on the ground as well. And Rigathi Gachagua is busy trying to pump up the petrol. All that is going to the government, as maybe if you can decipher that. We shall be looking at more. The Gado has drawn today. We have Arab Singh juggling his puppeteers, or his puppets. He's a puppeteer, as you can see there. Even the church leaders as well, they're being juggled. Well, this is just on a lighter note as far as editorial cartoons are concerned today. But the biggest concern that we are talking about is the issue to do with the SRC seeking further pay for senior officials, and they will be coming to you for public participation to weigh in as far as the hiking of salary is concerned. So what would you say? Right, let's hear from Dr. Isaac Kaluo Green before we wind up the topic of the salary hikes.
I think we have already tackled the issue of what SRC is doing, and you had just raised the issue of corporates and the CEOs and the salaries that they are earning. I believe that an institution can only be as good and as successful as its leader. There are very many examples that can be given of institutions that made money, that were successful, that led to the growth of the institution, multiplier effect leading to more employment opportunities, raising of salaries at different levels, just based on who the leader is. And therefore, I have no problem whatsoever on private institutions, businesses that have employed visionaries, people who sit to strategically look at how money can be made, because it's very easy to have that kind of a person who can lead to the growth of an institution, and having just a manager who is working on systems and ensuring that things are working, but at just that level. If you look at the cooperative movement and the leader in the gentleman called Muriuki, even if he was to add more salary, I would have no problem with that kind of a situation, because he's leading the institution, he is organizing the institution, he has led to value-driven management that can be able to protect the institution. The opposite is a situation where you have a manager who seems like everything is working very well, and is the same person who is fleecing the institution by having friends and other institutions, including family members, to come up with companies that are going to supply, like in situation of running of a county. And that is why at that level it has to be managed. So I wouldn't have a problem with that. And as we were talking off the TV, this world is not fair. They'll never be cheated by any flimps of thoughts in that kind of a way. So It's okay to have that, as long as money is being made, as long as the shareholders and people who are part of the institutions are well informed, and as long as it is product driven with visionary and services that are growing because of the, it's just like a football coach. Why is one paid $1 million shillings a month and another one is 20,000 and they end up not getting anywhere? The higher you pay and you are ready, and what individual can offer leads to results that can lead to a stadium being full, or even the club not going anywhere, and you have trouble of even washing clothes for the players. And therefore that kind of a situation needs to be looked at and appreciated. There is the institution, there is its leadership, and it all depends on the leader of that institution. And therefore, if it is worked out in a way that there is value driven, and it can be, you can pinpoint that value, so be it.
Yes. It's very important to that we contextualize this. The transfer season is on in the UK Premier League. Arsenal have just recruited Rice from West Ham at £105 million, which is about 18.6 billion. At the same time, Arsenal have recruited Havertz from Chelsea at 85 million. But they are going to play the same team. So why, if you ask Brian, he says, no, each of them should come at the same, at equal fee. You must have a bargaining power. So if you believe you're worthy 105 billion, you should be paid 105 billion. But if Brian here thinks he's not worth even $1 billion, it's okay.
It's how he negotiates.
But for me, I play big league, so I think I should.
I think Martin is missing the point. It is not the amount of money you purchase the player. It is the difference between the best player's salary and the least. And let me tell you, it is not too far compared to the CEO and the workers. Really, there has to be some sort of balance. I agree that Martin is a pure capitalist and allow us to use our moral compass. Myself and Narabukirwa. Please allow us.
Yeah.
It is immoral.
You see, I think also talking about basketball, when we had Michael Jordan and Scott Pippen, and Scott Pippen was really paid low compared to Michael Jordan.
Yes.
And he was really frustrated. And Michael Jordan admitted that, if it was not for Scott Pippen, he will not be the Michael Jordan that he is, because he made him shine with the support that Scott Pippen gave to Michael Jordan. So issue to do with if you're really worth that much, you saw that really affected also the Chicago Bulls, ratings.
The
and
guy
record.
Today, if you asked William Ruto, he's ever grateful to Raila and Moi for making him the president. And he has no regrets that they are where they are, or Raila is where he is, and he is the president today. So in this world, competition and outspinning others happens.
But in doing all that, the ban is useful. I do understand that this is not a fair society.
Yes.
But there must be really comparative kind of analysis. If somebody doing the same job in cooperative bank is doing better than somebody in KCB or any other bank for that matter, then we'd be saying there is fairness. But if you are to do that, it's only the CEO. And when you go down, the rest of the workers, they are not happy. This is a temporary arrangement. What I know is that it is not going to be sustainable for long, because it's the synergy that you create in an institution that is able to give it a long-term vision. You can have a vision, but you may be the only vision bearer in that particular institution. If you do not cultivate enough or critical mass of the workers in that institution to see your vision, that vision is not likely to be sustainable. And therefore, I would expect, if the CEO of Cooperative Bank is earning that, we should also do a parallel kind of analysis to see somebody in other institutions doing the same work. How are they doing? How well are they doing? So that the takeaway or the take home from each of the workers in certain institutions are better That's why even in parastatals, there are those who are rated A and those who are rated in different categories, so that when you join certain institution, you know you have gotten where the money is, and therefore you'll have to keep up with the kind of speed that, or the kind of work ethic in that particular institution. Otherwise, this one, when it comes from the perspective of human capital, it's not sustainable. It is likely to collapse, perhaps because an institution, the way I see it, must be able to outlive the current CEO. That is when you say the institution is stable. Just like a country, or even political parties, if it is not able to outlive the CEO, then the fundamentals of that institution are not right. We must build an institution that can see us through beyond our lifetime and be sustainable beyond our stay.
Okay. To be fair to someone who may not be understanding some of this and why the payments are so high, there are two things. One, it's contract-based. Two, it is product and expectation of targets. An institution says that we expect to make 10 billion US dollars within this specific period. And the person or the institution looks, supposing we get someone who, when we are thinking of 10 billion US dollars, he's saying that he can give us $70 billion. What are we going to do in this situation? And you get into an interview and he says, within 3 years, I want you to test me. Your target is 10 billion US dollars and to have a workforce of so much and efficiency at this percentage. And I am coming in, within this, I will reach it at specific 1 year and not even 2 years. And I will surpass this by 200% or 100%. And therefore my salary should be this. And it is achieved well beyond that. It sets a target for the institution to have a higher target, higher income, more products, more opportunity to get money to the investors of that specific institution, and therefore the validity of the amount that is out there, as opposed just to having a manager to help you to achieve a target of 10 billion, which is what you are targeting, and a workforce of so much, which is never achieved. You are underperforming, and when you are doing 80%, it seems to be okay. But here is a person and a head that is so experienced that would give you 200 billion as opposed to what you are targeting as specific. So it's target-based performance, it is product-based, and therefore it is not just imagined that this is what is expected. And if they don't meet that, in their contract it is very clear. That's why institutions will have a bigger group that has got a higher base of assets, and a manager who will be able to steer the institution during the very difficult times in a way that is very unique and very productive, and therefore justifying the amount. That said, it is not fair to have a very big difference in terms of what is, it should be commensurate to the service and what is available in the market, so that there is no disparity.
You know, Dibao, when I listen to Kiro talk about institution being able to outlive the vision holder, in very simple terms, I would call it an institution should not be Martin-centric. Martin-centric. It has to, and Martin, I respect the fact that you're a capitalist. And if you look at human resource management, how it has metamorphosized. Initially, when Martin was in school, it used to be called personnel management.
Yes.
And your work was to manage the personnel. They realized that no, the institution is not about personnel, it's about, let's look at this people as a human resource. It moved from personnel management to human resource. And eventually these days they call it talent acquisition and management. So they realize that there's even a deeper issue about human resource. There is talent management.
The people who are realizing
now,
are the capitalists.
Yes, and you see, even these companies that make serious profits, it is their money based on Martin's theory. It is capitalistic, it is if they're making money, so what? You see, we tell them, yes, you're making money, but the idea in business is not just to make money, it's to make change within the society. And if you want to measure your business based on how much money you make, then I think we're losing it. The question is, are you able to impact the society? Yeah. Are you able to make money and ensure that you touch the lives of the local communities that you work in? Are you able to go green the way Kalua would tell you? Are you able to make money and ensure that there is some sort of justice?
It's
there is
people,
some sort of
the planet,
fairness.
and the profits.
No,
We have just the profits.
Including the employees. So Martin cannot come here and tell us that if you're making money, just eat the money, gobble the money, take the money. Why not?
Brian,
no. It's a deeper conversation, Martin. Don't be Martin-centric.
We are talking about that triple bottom line. We have since moved.
Martin.
A triple bottom line.
Martin is a capitalist without capital.
Now you see attacking me. People are coming to have
You know what? I've been encouraged by this young man, Brian.
You just got a convert today.
Because it is important that whatever you are doing, and that's the essence of taxation, you tax because you are giving to society what you've made in that particular society. You do what we call CSR to society that has enabled you make money. And we are making that money because there is what we call strategic investment in that institution. That is the human capital. It is the people in that institution that make the difference between you and other people doing the same business. That's why employees are the first customers of any institution. Employees are before you think of the other customers, your first customers are the employees of that particular institution. So if you are a capitalist with capital, you must think in a holistic way. Don't think about the CEO and you leave the rest of us.
That's why this argument is not well informed. Because and I want just to take the example of a cooperative bank. All those things you said, cooperative bank is very great at them. CSR, cooperative bank does quite a bit of CSR.
But we're not really never gazing on cooperative.
No, but I'm just saying that even if you just take any of these big, and that's why I'm talking about triple bottom line. That today every company knows that it must give back to the society. Every company knows that it must reinvest even in its own people. The question we are dealing with, we have been shown only what the CEO is getting. We have not been told what other benefits are available or what staff are getting. So it's an argument about CEO. We don't have the other data. But the bottom line also is that if you are a profit-making organization, you are not investing in people, you are not investing in your community, you are not likely to be continuously making profit. That's why we talk about the triple bottom line, that you have to look at all those things, including being green and other things, in order for you to continue being in place. We are not even disagreeing. I think we are more or less saying the same thing. That at the end of the day, everything we do must have a human face.
Indeed.
But that human face also includes the CEO.
Right, and because that's why also
Martin is such a lawyer. Listen to him until he cleans even the CEO.
For him, that's where the emphasis is.
And the thing is, of course, that's why also we have for the reporting when you're doing the, your annual report as well. It is an integrated reporting.
Yeah.
You're taking cognizance of all this. They are actually calling it integrated reporting nowadays as well. I wanted just to focus, even as we're collecting on paying all this, and is there justifiable percentage that the CRC is giving? If this is 14%, how did they really arrive at 14%? Do you think?
I was thinking that Dr. Kalua knows.
Oh, Dr. Kalua will tell us the 14% for the salary hike for the legislature.
Subject actually that we need to be talking, and I'm sure what you want to talk about during these processes is not more of CRC, but SRC, but it is more on taxation. I think most of the people in the country now are asking about taxation at the time that salaries are being hiked and all that.
Fantastic, but the thing is taxes, but the expenditure as well.
True.
So if we have the taxes and then it is going to hike salaries, we need to question why are we talking about raising taxes.
Let's keep it. Just a minute. Let's keep at it.
Yes.
Maybe, and I'm saying maybe, they have realized that if the president and his deputy and the top guys pay the housing levy 1.7%, they pay NHI if they want to propose, maybe their salary will go down by 14%. So they are giving them a hedge so that after tax they can still remain where they are. Maybe.
I said
He's taking a stab
earlier that it is very clear that there are details that we don't know on this table, and many Kenyans don't know because it has not been shared. And therefore, what I am looking at is the issue of taxation, first of all, which taxation has never been an issue anywhere in the world. There are countries that you are taxed extremely high. But the question is always, where is the money going? And that is now where you are talking about the issue of expenditure. It would be fine if everything that is being paid is seen not only as payment to increase salaries, but also to services. If Kenyans had a good medical system that works, and I believe there is an opportunity to create that, if Kenyans had excellent roads, if Kenyans' education was perfect, if Kenya's issue on water management and everything else that we need was fine, if energy was perfect, if you are waking up and finding that you are secure, the security of your country is perfect, you don't have to put CCTVs and big walls outside, there is nobody who would wonder where the money, whether you increase salaries at that point, if that person is, what is the person who is causing this, there will be no issue. And therefore we need to start thinking and putting a lot of focus on where is our money going. The salary is just one of the issues. Where else are we going vis-a-vis what we are missing? The person that is being given this salary, what is he offering that affects my pocket and lines my pocket in the best way, as opposed to them lining their own pockets so that they are making. I think that is the bigger issue that we need to hold our leaders accountable, more than even just complaining on what is happening at this level. That is the biggest question. Kenyans are yearning for service. Kenyans know that it is their money that is being stolen up and again. Kenyans understand that they have an issue of medical. You are not sure. NHIF, you can see the amount that is being reduced from your salary and everything. Excellent job. And that is why I was very happy to see the other day the head of public service going out to say, I'm putting you on notice, you should not be doing these things because I mean, there are things that are so painful. My late dad, at one time we went to hospital, he was hospitalized and came out of hospital very safe. And 6 months down the lane, we find that every month he is still in hospital and his bed is being charged as if he is being in hospital and this kind of a situation. Those are things that we cannot allow as a country. And therefore, the expenditure should go to that level where we are all looking at what is the solution. Is in the solution waking up to check where our money is going? Are we not the country that is so desperate today? When you look at the police officers on the roads, they are receiving money blatantly, so open.
All right.
And it's reaching to a point that you would say like Magufuli, waachie hiyo ni ya kwenda kungarisha viatu. Nataka kutafuta wale wengine wako kule. So we need to start waking up to check, as a society, who are we? If we are the ones receiving and paying bribes, what is expected at a higher level?
Indeed. But you asking, where is the money going? Money is going to, the Green Park here that was actually built at 250 million shillings. And we have the governor waking up one morning and saying, that facility is not of any material utility. That is money really going out the tubes, because they say now maybe they'll put a conference center around Green Park. So 250 million shillings has just gone down the tubes. Money is going to 2.5 billion shillings, where KRA is terminating a Swiss farm contract. This is a decision Kenya Revenue Authority says here, to advertise for a fresh tender for the provision of multi-billion excess duty stamps could see the taxpayers lose 2.5 billion shillings. And MPs now want the KRA to explain the hasty decision for the re-advertisement of a tender, as opposed to sticking with the current provider and buying the stamps at a half the current price from July 24. The issue emerged after the Swiss firm CICPA, which is currently executing a service contract to monitor the production of cold beverages such as beer and soft drinks, appeared before the National Assembly Public Investment Committee on Commercial Affairs and Energy to shed more light on these contracts. This is where the monies are going. Money is going to what I was talking about, and this was where the governors also, and their house allowances, 250 million shillings. SRC is raising queries regarding why aren't you building your own residential places, and they are opting to get that 250 million shillings every month. Money is going to even proposal of what I was talking about, where there is mixed reactions here. If you can just see that regarding the spousal bill in Kakamega. I should read it for you. Where it's, I had this also with my panelists yesterday. Mixed reactions over Kakamega spousal bill. And it says the spouses of future Kakamega governors will require an official appointment if a bill seeking to anchor the office of a governor's spouse-in-law is enacted by the county assembly. The bill generated by the county executive drew mixed reactions when it was subjected to public audit, with some members of the public faulting the provisions of appointment on grounds that it could be exploited by dishonest county bosses to hire relatives and friends. This is where money is going. Money is going to the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary's spouse as well, whose office actually is not constitutionally mandated to be getting money from the exchequer. Money is going to also the office of the First Lady and also the Second Lady as well, and many other offices. That is where the money is going.
Well, I don't know, and I want to hear from my colleagues here.
And you know, Martin, for the record, is from Kakamega.
Yeah,
Oh, it's for, okay. It could be the future governor.
No.
It could be a beneficiary. Their aspirations as well. So they're preparing the way.
I have no intentions of benefiting from the spousal bill. Maybe my wife could be, then I could be. Actually, I would love to be a house husband, but that's another story. The real issue is that
it could be the other way.
Yeah, you know, she could be
She could be the governor and you could be the spouse.
So I cannot fight that bill. Let me say I could benefit. But the point I'm making is that we need to stop a bit and ask ourselves, where is our money going? I think as a country, out of 3.6 trillion, a budget of 3.6 trillion, how much of that is going to recurrent expenditure? I think that it's more than 2/3. And what are we going to do about development? Development, we are going to have to borrow to reach it, which borrowing may or may not realize what we are looking for. So we'll find that out of our budget of 3.6 trillion, 2/3 already is going to be spent, which is close to 2-point-something trillion, leaving us what we might collect from loans and maybe from grants and friends, a paltry sum that could do development. So generally speaking, our money in this country goes on salaries, which salaries do not necessarily support services. When earlier on Dr. Green was saying that there are people who are taxed highly, well, go to any of the Scandinavian countries, go to Sweden. They pay very high taxes. They have no problem. Because from public transport to medical to schools, the system works. Here, the more you tax us, the less we see services. You are telling us you want to increase the NHIF and the thing is broke. And why is it broke? Not because it offered services, because it was looted. You're telling us you want to do housing levy and that you need to build houses, and you're telling us that actually it's not about housing, it's about employment creation. What a warped approach to employment creation. Who says that all that we require to create employment is a housing scheme? What happened to other forms of employment in this country? So we are about, we are dramatic, if you ask me. We say things that we don't mean, but more importantly, we have no problem as a country. We have no anger or we have no protestations as to what we actually put our trillions on. So we seem to have accepted. Trillions is on salaries, spouses, parks, vehicles, and so on. So if that's how, as Kenyans, we have accepted it, nobody has complained. Nobody has gone to the streets to say no. Neither have we seen a major proposal from the opposition saying that this is what we want to do. In fact, I keep on asking myself that what would have been the difference if the other side was in? Would things have been different? I don't know. I don't think so either.
You can only try them.
Yeah, but we haven't tried them. But so the point is,
but someone has moved to court as well, or Okeyo Mtata has moved to court to challenge this finance bill.
But it's already been signed into law.
Into law.
Yeah, so there will be back and forth and things will go on. The chief administrative secretaries the court stopped them, but they are in office. They are operating. So such is our life. Dubal. I'm being so realistic today, away from these guys who want to be idealistic and they are promising us fairness.
All right.
Before you close this, you know, Martin has brought in a very important point, that 2/3 of our budget goes to recurrent expenditure, be it debt, be it salaries, which is a reality.
Be it hospitality.
Be it hospitality. That basically means that the monies we have for development or any other programs are quite minimal. That basically means we do not have room for wastage. We do not have room for cancelling a contract that has been there that it will cost us 2-point-something billion Kenya shillings. We do not have room to, because this was done by the Uhuru regime, we have to forget about it. We do not have room to change our minds on projects that are ongoing. Because, again, if you do that, we lose money. We do not have room for the dams, the Kimwaros and the Aros, the loss that we went through. So basically, the monies that we have for development are quite minimal. Even to the counties, the monies that is actually taken up substantially is actually recurrent expenditure. That basically means that we have no room for all these machinations you're seeing in our country. I can tell you for a fact, the reason why that contract is being cancelled is because it was done during Uhuru's tenure. There's nothing wrong with going back to the Swiss company and saying, look here, why don't we renegotiate? If you feel that the cost of one stamp is a lot, I know about that contract. You know all these alcohol products, you know that car sticker that is put, that car exercise stamp. That is what we are discussing. So really, for us to lose 2-point-something billion, and we owe suppliers to the tune of nearly 600 billion.
We're heading to a trillion.
Yeah, surely. And I saw there's a clip that is going around. It has gone viral about how people have really suffered in the hands of government contracts, be it county or otherwise. How people's houses have been sold. So really, we do not have time and room for any wastage or loss of money in our economy. We need to save as much as we can so that we can pay these suppliers that we owe. And that, forget about what Martin was saying, that if you pay CEOs, money will circulate in the economy. If you pay these contractors,
they're surviving. They're not spending their money on 2/3 on recurrent. They're surviving. They're making profits. The private sector. You guys are public. You want to equalize things.
All right, look at SMEs.
We wanted to say something before we wound up on this issue of the salaries and the packs of the legislatures and members of parliament.
Actually, what I want to add is just there's something that we need to take seriously that the president has been saying. Making hard decisions. Making hard decisions. You're now talking about 2/3 going into expenditure. Recurrent expenses. There needs to be hard decisions made. Hard. Not only by the president, by every person in leadership today. Governors have got very hard decisions to make. Money is being lost. There are natural resources that are supposed to be protected from the counties. It is the time for governors to make very hard decisions. This is very important. Two, we must not remain in a pity party kind of a situation. We need to wake up and start thinking, what is this that must be done immediately? Because we are the ones to make decisions that must be done. I like what my colleague Martin has just talked about. You wonder if this other party is the one that was in power today, what would have been different? And it's always who is better than who. We need to come out of that and make the hard decisions that we must make. Now, it's very painful to Mwananchi to see scandals at every. This is the most heartbreaking thing. Scandal after the other. And I believe that the government has an opportunity to kill those scandals so that Kenyans can have the confidence to move with them. I have said, and colleagues have talked about, there is nothing wrong with the taxing for as long as there is duty service that is being offered in this process. Let's kill, let us remove scandals, let us make the hard decisions at the company level, corporate level, at the government level, even ministerial level. All the PSs are the ones in charge of making payments and following procedures that are already there, as opposed to justifying a wrong process because the current system allows some things to be done. We must do what is morally right so that we can change this, our country. Let us do those hard decisions. Today is the day, not tomorrow, because Kenyans are paying. The high cost of living is extremely high, and we cannot be able to survive at this if we don't make hard decisions at all levels.
Indeed. So the water bill is about to go up. We have also electricity is bound to go up. We have the cost of borrowing from the banks with the recent revision from MPC. Now the lending rate now is going up. We have as well.
Bottom up.
Sorry?
Bottom up.
Everything up.
Everything is. Oh, this is the bottom up. Right. So Kenya needs to brace themselves for this. How then do you maybe from the perspective of Kenyan, now the citizen, how then do you're always telling us to make hard decisions, to tighten our belt. In the face of this reality, how do I tighten my belt?
Well, first of all, let's deal with this issue of tax. You are earning over 500,000, you are paying 35% on gross of your tax, or of your gross income. Then you have a levy of 1.5, that takes you to 36.5. Then on everything you're buying, you're paying 16% VAT, fuel and everything else.
NHIF,
and then you're also paying NHIF and NSF.
NSF.
So generally, your salary, about 55–60%, is going to levies and taxes. Then what is the commensurate service that you are getting? You are earning 1.6 million. Half of that, 800, is going to tax. What are you getting from your government? This issue of tough decisions starts from very simple. I expected that when this regime found us at the budget of 3.5 trillion, and the first thing they said is that let's cut back 500 million, which then meant that they were trying to reduce expenditure. The next thing I was going to see from them is that they are not going to go to beyond 3.2 trillion, but they are cutting back expenditure in order to remain where the 3.2 trillion is and get tough decisions. I haven't seen a thing from them. Forget about what the Felix Kosgei was saying the other day. He didn't mean it. He will not mean it. To go to Kemsa and sack 200 fellows, there's no logic and rationale to it as to have a national impact. But today, we need conversations about the size of county governments. We need conversations about the size of national government. So that we actually decide that 3/4 of the people we have in government, whether national or the 47 counties, are excess baggage. Let's release them from our public expenditure. We will pay for that service billions, yes.
This is what Kiro is saying.
Yes,
the human
billions,
resource
yes.
audit.
But release them into the micro enterprise and into the... Let them go and make life, because they can make life other than through employment. Those are the tough decisions. Not to tax us with the housing fund and tell us that it's not about housing, it's about employment. So you can do anything, pay people, but not build houses.
I think let's not define the tough decisions out of just what has been seen. I'm saying tough decisions. It's tough decision. When it is tough, you can see it is tough. And we are at a position that we haven't as yet seen the result of what has been done and what is being done. And away from even the president, far away from him, that tough decision, I'm using the words precisely as used, and I agree with you totally, Martin and the team. It is supposed, the things that are done in this country, they are so wrong, they are so immoral, they are so scandalous and painful to the Mwananchi that you wonder, isn't there somebody? When you hear a governor, when you hear a minister is associated with a scandal, it's so painful. It's a tough decision to avoid that kind of a route. It's not a corporate decision. It has to be at individual level that is going to lead us to a good result in this process.
What I was saying,
and we can't, and I'm not arguing on anything that we are not.
We are together, but the point I was saying is
yes.
the tough decision would have been, don't take the budget from 3.2 trillion to 3.6 trillion.
Maybe there's justification.
No,
that we are going to see out of what they are going to do.
Those are not tough decisions. That is same. So what we are going to do is we'll get back the same.
Can you agree in tough decisions?
Please educate me.
It's very simple. And we are saying it in very many words. And Martin here, you people, you might know him as a lawyer, but he's an organization development expert. What we are saying, let's audit government from a national level. Do we need this human resource that just sits and reads newspapers? Let's audit county governments. For instance, why do we have many people under the Ministry of Health, yet it is a devolved function? What are we doing at a national level?
Agriculture.
What are we doing with the people under the Ministry of Agriculture at a national level, yet it is a devolved function? What are we discussing about housing at a national level, yet it is a devolved function? Tough decisions basically means, let's start by auditing the national government. Let's start by, do we need all these parastatals? Do we need all those employees and authorities that we have created in this government? Those are the tough decisions we're talking about. Two-thirds of our budget goes to recurrent expenditure. What is recurrent expenditure? It is the wastage that we're talking about. That is why you're seeing counties are cash-strapped. That's why you're seeing counties cannot move. That is why you're seeing the government cannot move, because you've literally held on to government. And that's why Martin is saying, if we had a nini of 3.2 trillion, and you came into office saying, we will
300 billion.
We will deal with the serious issues. We will, the so-called tough decisions, we'll make them. Why increase the budget from 3.2 to 3.6? That basically means you are continuing with the old thought process and what was happening. You're perpetuating the same wastage that was there. That is what we're talking about. And that takes a very serious leader to do that. And I can tell you for a fact, these gobbles here, they are not those people.
All right. And if you can look at that editorial cartoon, we have the executive who are busy at the pump, but that particular pump is going to the government guzzler. If you can see the limousine itself, yes. That is a government guzzler. I wanted just to broach another issue before we, unless another issue.
All we are agreeing, just for a minute, is that we need to take tough decisions. Tough decision means a scandalous-free nation. One person is found to have messed up, he is dealt with properly. For generations to come to remember scandals and theft of public coffers is a serious thing. a decision that says after the audit that we are now talking about, we have found a third of this is going to recurrent expenditure. We have to cut down on this and get people to go home, pay them off to go and start businesses so that we continue with this. Tough decision means at the county level, because we know that we are living in a mess, a serious mess, that getting into public office is an opportunity of making money. Tough decision means cancelling all that. And I believe that we are all talking about the same thing. The definition may vary, but at least there is, the end will justify the means of whether there were tough decisions that were made and auditing the procedure that led to the result.
But if the coffers are empty and you're talking about sending them off as well, what will the government actually use to send them off?
No,
You've had also the issue of the pension. The government has always been increasing the age of the retiring, because there's no money actually to send the pensioners home.
That does not help. If you continue to keep them and you don't have money, what does that do? It's still negative. So you better cut, seal your points of bleed. Otherwise you'll continue bleeding. I mean, so there's no excuse around this. I think that we are in agreement.
Why do we still
tough
have
decisions?
Retirement age at 60? Why?
Extend it to 65?
You want to extend it,
No.
we lower it.
Let people leave work early. Let them go and create employment. You don't leave the.
But you need to ask why it went to 60 from 55.
It's a cost of you can't run away from pension. You will face it.
You'll face it.
You're
just kicking the can down the road.
The solution is cut your expenditure and then create room for growth. You can remove the limitations of borrowing from 9-point-something trillion to now peg it to GDP. You are only getting into trouble because you have not managed, you have not satiated your appetite for borrowing. And as long as you still have a high appetite for borrowing, you will continue in that destructive way. So the cap was important because it stopped us from just going on. But back to where we should be. I think we've talked enough of this.
Right. So yes, it's good that you're saying we've talked enough of it and talking about satiating our appetites. Yeah. We need to satiate our appetite as we take a short break as well and slake our thirst as well. But when we circle back, we look at a very important issue as well. That is the Special Economic Zone Act. Is it being abused? The recent, of course, zoning of 2 rivers around the Limuru area as a special economic zone. Is there any rhyme or reason right now? Because, of course, the benefits that comes with the special economic zones, liberal taxation and other entitlements as well. But that particular decision, what really informed it? We circle back with more. Don't go away.
It is not as good yet.